Well, Kurt, they are absolutely heartbroken over this tragedy. And just a short time ago, we still had emergency crews back here by the woods behind me where that plane went down. They had been here more than 24 hours after that crash and just left a short time ago. We're on 16th and Atlantic Avenue. I'm going to turn the camera around because we got to show you what's going on right now. We have police in tactical gear methodically moving protesters back. They have their special operations truck right here, and they're launching tear gas into the air. After the briefing, crews come out here to check the helicopter, make sure everything is working as it should be, and then it's time for takeoff for that last flight. Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Antoinette DelBel. We have a lot to get to, but first, let's talk weather. We knew it had to come to this, so we had those highs, and now it had to come back down. And the first snowfall, it always creates such a mess for drivers, so hopefully it won't stick around too long. What a difference a couple hours makes. I want to show you this car that's clearly been here for a little bit because it's got a busted tire, but snow is starting to pile up onto this car. The owner of Grace O'Malley's didn't want to go on camera, but she tells me the security team here did everything right. They saw what was happening outside, then yelling for everyone inside to get down and quickly moving people who were sitting here in booths on the other side of this wall, moving them away seconds before these bullets came through. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Baby boomers are the second largest population in this country. They've lived through some of the biggest events in our nation's history. And Epperson believes the low tree supply will be an ongoing issue for the next decade. But no matter how tough the business might get, he says Mill Farm has been here for 45 years and will be here for many more. There's so much passion here right now. That's because there's just been so much buildup to this very moment to only see 20 seconds worth of that body camera video. So you can just imagine tensions high right now. Suddenly, Isaac Sampson came barreling through with that stolen police car, causing all this damage and mess. You can smoke weed inside a private establishment like this, just as if you were in a bar drinking. But you can't be in public at the beach or on the sidewalk, for example, and light up. Kurt, right now the mood is very somber. People here are still upset over what happened. When we first arrived to the scene, they were extremely distraught. They were very emotional. Okay, we're moving because the situation just became dangerous. So we're getting out of here. But there's tear gas that's being thrown in the street by 16th and Atlantic Avenue. Where it just burns your eyes and you can't breathe. We saw him walking on the sidewalk here on Granby Street alongside his fellow officers, and he tells me reversing the surging trend in crime can be done, but it has to be everybody's responsibility. It can't fall on police alone. Voters have been trickling in all afternoon, casting their ballot, and really have been in and out within a few minutes, which shouldn't seem surprising on Election Day, considering that people have been smashing records. Police are using all the resources they can, including an FBI helicopter, planes, a drone, canines, and of course, volunteers. Kurt? She says she saw the teenage girl waiting for help, standing in this area on Corporal Avenue, just around the corner from where the shooting apparently happened. Otto says the fight ended up here in the kitchen. He says his neighbor still had the sword in his hand, and you can see some of the slashes still in the wall here. The others are expected to be okay, but none of these injuries are life-threatening at this time. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see this very active scene that we have here right now. Police are still investigating what unfolded. Now you can see behind me, behind this police cruiser, it's hard to see now, but there is a tarp over that car. That is a car where the victims, they were hit in that car. The water is expected to keep rising along our coast. What that means for homeowners in Hampton Roads who worry the threat might leave them underwater. A former NFL player turned therapist is using his notoriety and experiences to help other Black men talk about mental health. It feels like little ice pellets that are hitting your face. Kind of stings a little bit on your cheeks. So if you don't have to be outside for more than a couple minutes, then stay home, hunker down. We're on Sir Gwaine Drive, where all of this unfolded shortly after 7 o'clock. We had 2 people shot. One of those, as you said, a 16-year-old, the other an 18-year-old man. It was a very emotional day, especially when that chilling 911 call was played. It would be the last call Catherine Dean would make right before her murder. Her family immediately crying as soon as they heard her voice. Now, our cameras were allowed inside the courtroom, but we were not allowed to record audio. Many of Catherine Dean's family members and friends wiping away tears as they listened to that haunting 911 call for the first time, minutes before the 44-year-old Chesapeake mother was shot and killed.
She was scared to death. It was heartbreaking.
That phone call, perhaps the most damning evidence heard in court Thursday. Catherine is heard yelling out, "Why are you doing this?" Then several gunshots are fired and the call goes silent.
It's disturbing to hear a loved one, essentially die.
Catherine's estranged husband, Ben Wynkoop, is charged with her murder. Police finding her body inside her garage in April. Her best friend, Samantha Roberts, inconsolable. She says she saw Catherine the day before she was killed.
She had a huge heart. She'd give anybody anything to help. She was so funny. She's a great mom. She was a great friend.
Wynkoop appearing to have put on weight. Many in the courtroom seeing him for the first time since Catherine's death. Wynkoop's father and sister tell us they were there to support Catherine's family, not the alleged murderer. Witness testimony from one of the officers saying Wynkoop told him he, quote, lit her up after kicking in her door and making his way inside her home. Wynkoop's lawyer arguing he acted in self-defense, saying he believed Catherine was reaching for her gun in her purse, and that's when he killed her. It's not what you believe, though.
No, absolutely not. The defense has a job to do.
Catherine's ex-husband, Larry Dean, was one of Thursday's witnesses.
Oh, he should be incarcerated for the rest of his life.
And that's the hope from loved ones.
She was amazing. You can't forget her. She was one of those unforgettable people.
Catherine's protective order against Wynkoop was in place just 2 weeks before her murder. Wynkoop is expected back in court in August, when they'll decide on a trial date. In Chesapeake, Antoinette DelBel, News 3. This real-life scenario shows officers how to use different tactics to avoid drawing their guns when responding to calls.
You'll see it, right? They have the senses starting to calm down.
This is a training class on de-escalation.
Not everything can be de-escalated. We wish it could.
John Bostaine is a former officer and use of force expert. He travels the country training police departments on how to improve their interactions with the community. And for the past 2 days, he's been working with Windsor Police and other officers from nearby jurisdictions. Do you think that these training classes are actually going to work?
Yeah, I think it's the objective is to get guys to think differently about how they do their job.
Chief Dan Riddle compelled to make changes after body camera video of this December traffic stop went viral, sparking nationwide outrage. In the last few weeks, the department has taken measures to reform, including reviewing and updating its policies, creating a hiring panel with 2 sitting community members, and going through anti-bias training.
So it's important for guys to get that refresher on information, and then most importantly, you've got to grow and develop and change. You have to look at what you're doing. Is there a better way to do it?
Bostaine admits things could have been handled differently after watching the viral video of the police encounter, which is still under criminal investigation. Do you think they used excessive force?
I don't make any opinions if I don't have all the information. When something like that happens, and we have these videos, they all go viral, the entire profession, we take a hit, and it's frustrating.
He says changing the culture of policing involves engaging and building trust with the community.
Because if we only focus on the police, this problem it's just not going to be fixed.
It's not an overnight process. It's a long-term process. It starts with doing our job better.
The department still has 1 spot to fill on the force after one of those officers in that body cam video was fired. The chief telling me so far he hasn't gotten 1 applicant for the job. He believes it's partly because of the constant scrutiny police are under. In Windsor, Antoinette DelBel, News 3. The search for Cody Bigsby becoming dire as temperatures dip into the 30s. The 4-year-old reported missing on Monday morning by his father, who Hampton police are now questioning, saying his timeline of the boy's disappearance doesn't add up. Cody's parents now considered persons of interest. Investigators standing guard at the father's home.
The investigation does not indicate that he was abducted. There's just no reason to believe it.
Police knocking on doors, talking to those in the Buckrow Point community, where neighbors say Cody lived with his 3 siblings. Investigators continuing their search in the air and on foot.
Well, they walked this way and then went straight back into the woods, just looking for Cody, calling his name.
Veronica Robertson lives in the neighborhood. She's among the many volunteering to help search for the little boy.
He could be anywhere.
This is when he gets scared of the dark and wants to press right here.
Armed with a backpack full of supplies, 9-year-old Katia Brown also determined to find little Cody.
Even though if it's cold out here, I'm still going to search for him.
I just hope they find him. Hope they find him safely.
And back here at the command center, this is really a 24-hour operation. Police are using all the resources they can, including an FBI helicopter, planes, a drone, canines, and of course, volunteers. Kurt?
Annie, I gotta say, it was so touching to see that little 9-year-old boy out there trying to do his part searching. And when I was out there earlier this evening, just seeing the volunteers that were out there, running into some women who were from Virginia Beach, coming up to Hampton saying they wanted to do their part.
Yeah, Kurt, and that little boy, he even had clothes in his backpack ready if he were to find Cody. This has really been an overwhelming response from the community. A civilian search team made up of 50 volunteers. They were called off earlier today around 4 o'clock, but that didn't stop dozens of people from coming out on their own and really searching high and low for Cody, hoping for the best.
Is he under it?
Gloucester County Deputy John Holt's body camera capturing the harrowing rescue. Holt getting out of his patrol car, quickly running to the scene of an overturned SUV off Route 17. The driver's daughter frantic. Her mother trapped underneath, her head pinned by the sunroof. The son can be heard crying. Mommy! But Holt remaining calm, coaxing the boy out of the car.
Come here, buddy.
Then, with Herculean strength, Holt lifting the more than 4,000-pound SUV. And for those few seconds, the vehicle is off the ground.
Is your head clear?
The woman free.
You can still see pieces of the vehicle.
Holt bringing us back to the site where the crash happened nearly 2 weeks ago on Friday, May 7th.
It's Mother's Day weekend. You can't let a child see their mom pass away on Mother's Day weekend or get seriously injured.
The deputy traveling in the opposite direction, seeing the exact moment the SUV flipped, landing upside down. Arriving on scene moments later, Holt, an Army veteran, says his military training kicked in.
I tried to lift the vehicle one time and I said I can't do it. That's something that is unacceptable. So I put my shoulder into the door frame, braced up, and I said all I have to do is just stand up. That's why I just kept telling myself. I don't know if it was adrenaline, sheer will.
Holt says the woman had some bleeding and minor injuries. His quick actions saving her from an almost certain tragedy.
It's what we do. It's what we train for. And I'm no hero. I'm just an average cop that gets put in extraordinary situations.
And there are several other situations involving Deputy Holt that earned him the local and regional honor of 2020's Top Cop. Last year, he saved a woman and her child from a burning home. The year before that, he saved a VDOT worker's life with CPR. Holt says he must have a guardian angel by his side. In Gloucester, Antoinette DelBel, News 3.